had received a letter from one of my friends, just a childhood friend. He grew up with us in the projects in Section 8. He gave me a letter that was really eerie. He was like, think about me when I'm gone, and just saying these types of things. And 3 days after that, I find out that he had committed suicide in jail. So there was death all around me, and I was feeling that, it was creeping up on me. Miraculously, my mom, a couple days after these incidents had happened, her car had broken down, and she was like, "Hey, Johnny, I need you to take me to church." She's a translator. She was very involved at the time. So I said, "Yeah, there's no harm in that. I want to help mom out. I didn't spend all my life, being bad to her. So I wanted to treat her well. So I took her to the church, but I told her very specifically, I don't want to be evangelized. I don't want to talk to the pastor." When I get there, I remember this pastor runs out and he's like, "Hey, Johnny, good to see you. Why don't you come on in for some food, And they had made some black bean noodles. And that's actually my favorite dish. I love eating black bean noodles. For those Asian Sundong people out there who know what I'm talking about, it's like a delicacy for us. I grew up eating that stuff. So I was like, what's the harm in eating? But I told the pastor, I don't want to hear about God. I don't believe in God. I'm Buddhist, et cetera, et cetera. So we get there, and I remember he sits down, and after we finish eating, he asks me two questions that really kind of shocked me. He said, "Are you a sinner? And do you know what sin is?" And at that time, I felt a little angry, to be honest, because I felt like that was a loaded question. Who's not a sinner? We're all born imperfect. We're all flawed as human beings. We've all made, bad decisions in our life and stuff like that. So I kind of got mad, and I told him, "Yeah, of course." And he said, "So what do you think about sin?" And I said, "Well, sin is when you do something bad and then, you go against God, or you shoot people, stab people, lie to people. That's a sin." And he said, "Not so." And that was the first time that it kind of he shook my world upside down. I was like, "What do you mean? This is kind of weird," because that's what I always learned. Even though I wasn't Christian, Catholic or anything like that, I knew that doing bad things it's a no-no. You don't do that. But he explained to me that sin was actually twofold. The first thing is it's trusting yourself above the word of God. So trusting yourself more than God, that's what sin is. And number two, it was inheritance. So he explained to me the analogy of, you're Chinese, you didn't choose to be Chinese. You're born that way. Your father was Chinese, his father was Chinese, etc. It was passed down. Likewise with sin, it wasn't that you did anything wrong, but Adam was evil, he was sinful, and then it passed down to us. So we were born as sinners. And at that time, it really made sense to me.